Hello, everyone. It's nice to see all of you here after a very long day of discussions on sports. I hope all of you have enjoyed it as much as I have. We have saved the best for the last. We have two of icons of Indian sports with us today who needs no introduction. First, I would like to call upon the Chief National Coach of Indian Badminton, Pullela Gopichand. He won the All England Open in 2001, was conferred the Arjuna Award in 1999 and a Padma Shri in 2005. As I said, he doesn't need any introduction. We also have with us H.S. Prannoy. A big round of applause for him for winning a bronze medal for us at the World Championship. He has also reached a career best ranking of number 6 and many more laurels to come from him. Thank you both for being here today. Prannoy, I'm going to start with you. You were the Youth Olympic silver medalist in 2010. 13 years later, you are very close to your first Senior Olympics now. And hopefully with the same or better result. I mean, you did wonderfully well in the Youth Olympic. What has the journey been like for you?
I think the journey has been pretty topsy-turvy, I would say, because the initial years were not easy, especially post the Youth Olympics. I would say the first 3 to 4 years where we got into the senior circuit, I think it was really tough because that's where you realize that this game is a serious sport out there and it's not easy to get in the rankings. And that time, I think I remember had a lot of injuries. I think that transition period was tough. But I think the last few years, I would say all those experience eventually kind of gave me that right or say the correct story behind how to work and how to be brilliant off court to actually manage the body. And I've understood that at the end of the day, managing the body is the key, say key thing out there. And yeah, so the last 3-4 years has been much better than the starting few years, and I'm glad that things are working well right now.
Gopi, what he said in terms of the transition from the youth to the senior level, I mean, you have been coaching for a very, very long time. A lot of athletes have come out from your stable. How difficult is the transition and how do you help your players to actually move that threshold from a junior level to the senior?
Well, it's one of the toughest things. About 90% of them don't make it. So as a stat and also in reality, I think it's really tough. People who are able to adapt are the ones who are able to make it. And at the junior level, you might have a weakness and get away with it. But at the highest level in the seniors, if you have any weakness, you surely are not going anywhere because it's exposed very quickly and people capitalize on it very quickly. So it's very important that you're there. And as Prannoy rightly said, I think it's physically very challenging. It's a brutal sport, and it's important that you kind of stick there, learn your lessons quickly, and then strengthen and move forward.
So you have seen, obviously, Prannoy, I mean, you have stayed with Gopi and the academy for a very, very long time. I mean, what you have seen him play over the last couple of years, is this the best that you have seen him play?
Well, as of now, yes. But I'm sure, I think the way he is actually, to be fair, I think the way he has fought through the physical pain and the kind of disappointments which he's had has been phenomenal. I think it's a great story. I only wish people can read my feelings and write about it or actually see what he has done. Because I'm sitting in a match there and I'm like wondering, wow, this is like painful. And I've gone and sat in enough matches and I've seen, oh come on, it's like even if he gives up, I'm happy, it's okay. Because he's going through pain and then he's fighting it day after day, and that's phenomenal. I haven't, at least I haven't seen an athlete go through this amount of pain and take that load and get the results which is. So I think it's amazing. I think it's just another level of grit which I see, and I'm so happy, and I hope this continues for a long time.
Prannoy, I mean, what strikes out for you is your longevity. I mean, you are probably one player who beat Tawfiq Hidayat, who was the Olympic gold medalist in 2004. And now you have also beaten Victor Axelsen, who won the gold in 2020. So would you say that this longevity is a very, very underrated part of your career? People haven't really acknowledged that, us media as well as the fans in the country?
I don't know, to be honest, but I would say yes. Probably, I think when I was 23, 24, that's when I kind of got into that circuit and had good wins, especially against Lindan, Lee Chongwei, Tawfiq. Then probably 8 years later, or say 10 years later down the line, still you are able to be in that top 10s, consistently, and probably in the last 7-8 months I've been consistently being in the top 10s. I feel that that longevity part has something to be credited for. But I remember, I think when I was in 2014, I guess, had a lot of injury issues, and that's when I had a chat with Bhaiya, and he said, keep good 3 to 4 years of your career aside for injuries, and the rest is your career. And I think that kind of hit hard at that point, but that's the reality, to be honest. And if you want to play at the highest level, you have to go through that tough training, and you might get injured, but unless and until you hit that threshold, you're not going to improve. And that's what I realized post 2014, 2015, saying that unless and until you push that, the results are also not going to come.
I mean, you've recently joined the World Medal Winners Club, but even before that, you had reached more consecutive quarterfinal stages of the World Championships than any Indian male player. So how would you rate this period of world badminton? I mean, you had a 13-year-long career. How do you think badminton and Indian badminton has progressed in the 13 years that you have been?
I think the last 1 decade has been just amazing, to be honest. Back to back, we have been able to produce big results. A lot of World Championship medals out there, a lot of Olympic medals out there. And I think, especially looking at the graph, in the last 5 years especially, it has always gone up. And I think the standards have been really high right now. I think unless and until you win a tournament, or unless you win a Super 500 or 750, it's not a news anymore. And I think that's the standard which the badminton players have kept out there. So it's very challenging, but I think it's very pleasing also to the fact saying that everybody is able to contribute. Before it was women singles, now I think men doubles out there. Chirag Satvik has been really playing at I think one of those levels. I would say it's been just world class, and I think now as men singles players, I'm also able to push that level up. So I think I'm really happy with the way things have changed in the last 1 decade. And I think the Thomas Cup victory was something which was huge for all of us, not just for the players, I think for the entire country, because we didn't expect that coming, especially last year. And but I think it's the work of 10 years, almost 10 years, from all the coaches out there, including Bhaiya, where we could eventually get a team which was worthy of a world champion. So I think the work has been incredible in the last almost a decade or so, and so that's why the results are coming now.
But as you mentioned, the Thomas Cup, it was an incredible achievement, and I think the whole country was proud of what happened. Do you think now when you guys, when you are going into something like Asian Games or Olympics next year, is there added pressure on the team that you guys are Thomas Cup winners?
Maybe yes, little bit yes, but I think more than the pressure, I think we all loved playing that event so much, the Thomas Cup. The atmosphere was just incredible, and for the first time we felt that we all were playing for the teammates, and I think that made a huge difference. And to be honest, we are so eager to go to Asian Games and play the team event because we have almost the exact same team of the Thomas Cup squad. So I think it's going to be a good event as such, and it's going to be fun playing again for a team event.
Gopi, badminton is intrinsically a individual sport. I mean, how do you, as a coach, build camaraderie and a spirit of oneness and a team spirit in a sport which is so very individual in nature?
I think it's amazing to have people like Prannoy, Satvik, Chirag in the Thomas Cup team and Srikanth, because some of these senior players are the ones who've anchored the team along. I think you need one person, either it's a coach, whether it's a team member. I think to be saying this is our team and everybody respects that. I think that kind of feeling is important, and it was great that the players actually took that leadership role, and everybody together as a unit have really performed very well. I think great. I think Prannoy is a great team person. Srikanth acted as a leader, which was very, very good. And Satvik and Chirag are phenomenal in anchoring the entire or rallying the doubles troops as well. And you have young talents like Laksh who've performed so well and that performance. And people have lifted either because of the way they've interacted or they've played on court in the sense. And I think that's something which is fantastic. And as a team, Team India, whenever we've prepared well, and if you look at, just to put things in perspective about badminton, I probably am saying this the third or the fourth time, but I think it's relevant, so I'll say this again. 1994, Indian team was not sent to Commonwealth Games because we didn't figure in the top 6 of the Commonwealth Games in any category. So that is this journey. The last 30 years journey has been this one. A journey of not being part of Commonwealth to becoming the world champions in the sport is what Indians badminton has been. So whether we, in the sense 1999 and 1989 were the 2 times when India qualified to the Thomas Cup finals, which was a 16-member team. So that's the only 2 times we qualified to be in the top 16 of the world. And then you talk about today winning, and then if you come to the finals, then it is reported as India has not performed well kind of a thing. So I think from that perspective, we've done phenomenally well. And yeah, whether it's the All England, my All England, or whether it's Saina's first pre-quarter in Commonwealth Games, in the Olympics of 2008, or whether it's the 2010 Commonwealth Games where we won multiple gold medals, or 2012 the first bronze, or the 2014 where we have got the men's singles and the bronze, or the 2016 Rio, or the 2018 World Championships and the Commonwealth team gold, or the 2022 bronze medal, and the 2024 or 2022 Thomas Cup. I think this is really the journey of Indian badminton, which has actually been phenomenal. And I've seen this through when the team wasn't sent to badminton being delegated to a priority B sport. We've been told that Indians can never be champions in this sport. We've been told that Indians can't be good coaches. And I've heard these bureaucrats and these politicians and the press people continuously tell this. And I can't find those people around to tell them that you really have been bullshitting.
Do you see any one of them in this room today?
I think that's the challenge which we have, in the sense, and that spirit which the team has brought in is what New India is about. I've also gone to an Olympics where 90% of the team has gone there thinking we are happy to collect memorabilia and take photographs. to the games at Rio where although we won only 2 medals, 90% of the team went there for performance. And that is what the young India is. It is looking for performance. It's not happy just to travel. And I think that's also definitely badminton's biggest plus.
Prannoy, you have multiple times said that you are able to understand instructions coming from the back of the court and put it into action a lot faster this year. Is it simply your equation with Gopi and as well as Guru coming into your team, and you've played with Guru earlier as well? Tell us a bit about your relationship with both Gopi and Guru and how both of them together on the court side has helped you or your game in crunch matches.
Yeah, Gopi sir, I think with Gopi sir, it's been almost 14 odd years, 15 years with him, and he knows me in and out as a person, as a player, as a person. And I think it's very, very important when somebody whom you know for 15 years is sitting behind for your match, and kind of changes the whole perspective, because he knows what I am thinking right there on the court, what kind of situations I am afraid of, what kind of situations I am kind of comfortable of. I think he knows it very well, more than probably me. So, so to have him over there, especially, I think it's been a while since he traveled, since 2018, so there was a short break, and now again to have him back in that coaching stand kinds of give immense confidence, to be honest, because he's somebody who gives you that confidence to try a lot of things, and he keeps saying that it's fine if it doesn't work, but I want you to try. And that's what I also need at times, where you're short of confidence to try a certain shot. And so I think that's what made huge difference, especially in Australia, where I played finals, and again in the World Championship. I remember in Australia, he was asking me to do a particular shot in a crunch situation. I was just telling him, saying that, "Bhai, I'm not able to do it. I'm just not able to do it." And post coming back, we had probably 5 days to train, and he made me do that shot for that next 5 days. And eventually, one shot came in World Championship at 19 all in the pre-quarter finals, and I had the guts to do that. And so that kind of small tweaks in the game is what I think kind of changes the entire equation of you standing in a podium or you losing out in a pre-quarter finals or a second round. So, and I think sport is all about risk. You need somebody who gives you that confidence to take risk. So, so I hope that he keeps continuing to travel, and especially for the bigger events, I'm sure that he's going to be out there and helping me. And I think with Guru, I think we both had played for a very long time. He was opponent for a very long time, and now I think he's somebody who is able to give me that kind of instructions from behind. And he's somebody whom I can open up a little bit more from a friend's point of view also on what I'm feeling personally, what I'm feeling mentally. So that gives a whole different perspective on working well. And I think it's been really well working with Bhaiya and Guru again. And I can feel that we have that connect to especially get those big wins in big events.
Gopi, again, I go back to the badminton being such an individual sport, and where when you're there on the court, you're there on your own. So as a coach, when you're seeing your player going wrong in terms of their mentality and all that, I mean, how do you, what's the role of a coach? I mean, how do you try to move them to a track where you think that it would benefit the way they're playing? It's not an easy task.
In a match or?
Yeah, during a match.
I think people would just watch it on television or watching in the stands, and then they're saying, okay, this guy's, how come this mistake is happening? And the point is, the guy's heart is pounding at 170 or 180. When you're under that kind of heart rate, to make the right decision is not easy. So you have to understand that it's human, and it's human to go by the emotion or to let go, because that's what it is. But I think most victories come because you're doing what is needed, and the discipline to do what is needed, not what you're used to. And that is what is important. And I think many of the times I would go and say, come on, just do this. And the guy is saying, I'm not used to doing it. Or it's not my game. It doesn't matter if it's your game or not. Today, to win, this is the game you have to play. And if you have the discipline to play it, you will win. If you don't have the discipline to play it, you will lose. But it's okay to lose, because you will come back again tomorrow. So for me, I think as a coach, I would really I've never, I think very few times in my career as a coach, I would be strict about people losing, or I would shout at people losing. That's the least. I said, don't even bother if you've lost. My problem is if they're not disciplined in the preparation. And if you're messing the preparation, I'm really serious. But if you've lost a match, it's okay. It's okay. You can come back and try again. It's okay. But I think to have the discipline to do what is needed and not what you're used to is what will eventually make you a champion.
Prannoy, as we were saying earlier, you have beaten Hidayat, you have beaten Axelson. Over the years in many tournaments, you have had this reputation of taking out the big names. You often was referred as the giant killer. Now that you have got this World Championship medal in your bag, do you think now from a giant killer, Indian media, all of us will start calling you a giant of Indian badminton?
Yeah, high time, I guess. I think it's high time. I think initially I would have loved to have that name, and I kind of loved being a giant killer because you were ranked 30, 35 when Lee Chongwei, Linda and Taufik, all these guys were in the top 10. So at that point, yes, to beat somebody who is in the top 10s and who is Olympic medalist, World Championship medalist, I think always gives that feeling that, okay, you are somebody who can beat higher ranked player. But I think in the recent times, whenever somebody says that I'm a giant killer, I keep saying that, no, I am the giant here. So please, let's not talk about the giant killing stuff.
So giant killing days are behind you now.
Yeah, much earlier, I would say. I think 3-4 years back itself. I think now everybody is kind of aware of the fact, saying that I'm not somebody who can beat only certain players. I'm somebody who can beat anybody on a particular day, and now that consistency has gone up. So it's now like it's tough to beat this guy on a particular day. So I think I've been trying hard to change that perspective of people, but I think now I'm slowly getting to that right perspective.
You're achieving some of the best results of your career and still improving at a time when many players are struggling to maintain their level. Do you think you were a late bloomer, or it's just a matter of things coming together over the last few years? Are you fitter now than at a point of your career? What would be the reason for this sudden resurgence over the last 3-4 years? Obviously, you had your injuries and all of that, and you were coming back from that. But is there any particular reason you would want to say has been the reason behind this resurgence over the last couple of years?
I would say I used to get injured and had a lot of health issues when I was from 22 to 27. I would say luckily that is helping me right now. All those issues came I would say at the right point of my career when I think back now, because that made me a much better sports person now, and I know what all things work really well for me and what doesn't work for me. So in that way, I think I figured the right people to work with, and that has made huge changes in my body and in my physicality as such, and I'm able to sustain longer matches, especially in big tournaments where if you have to win a tournament, you have to be 100% for 6 days back to back, and that's a little cruel at times. If you drop down 20%, then you're out in a semi-final or out in a quarter-final. So I think that ratio has gone really high, and I think especially in the last couple of years, with Bhaiya, we have been able to do very calculated training, especially on the fact saying that how much we can load to the body and how much we can, how much we should set back whenever we need to take that off day. So I think we have been very brilliant in doing that in the last few years, where we have been kind of appreciating what the body can do. And so it's been very systematic in the last few years. So that's why we've been able to push through a lot of longer matches, a lot of tournaments, to be honest, because our calendar is packed. So you have to be really brilliant in managing your body.
Is there anything in his game that you have noticed over the last couple of years which has been the reason behind this success?
Well, as I said, I think to do what needs to be done and to have the discipline to stick to what you're not used to doing, I think is what has been the biggest plus for him. I think you can give inputs to a lot of people, but I think how many of them are ready to kind of have the discipline to do it, I think is phenomenal. Apart from that, as Prannoy rightly said, I think he's been a great person for the team. I think he's rallied his team along in that sense to be in that happy, positive space, which is important. And today we are actually, he's also not giving credit to his wife here. He got married, so I think my mom was always saying, I think you should have got married earlier. She's the one who's getting the luck. But I on a serious note, I think I think he's in a, he appreciates, and sometimes as a young kid, you're not appreciating and what you have, and to have the opportunity to play at the highest level and to actually go through this discipline in a happy mode, I think is very important. And I think I'm very, very happy to see him, because for me, I think his doing what he's doing is a great example and a role model for a lot of people coming down. And I think it's a phenomenal story.
Absolutely. I mean, we were just discussing before we came on the stage that because this being the Olympic qualifying year, there are a lot of tournaments that most Indian players have to play. The schedule till the Olympics is packed. I mean, you have competition till December, and then even in January you have the Malaysia Open, then you have the India Open, and then I think in February you have the Continental Championship. So in terms of how important is, I mean, while you would want to qualify for the Olympics and play as many tournaments, in sports, we always talk about peaking at the right moment. So how important is that to manage the workload and the tournaments so that players are peaking at the right moment, which obviously this year and the year forward, the goal would be to peak at the Paris Games. So how important is that, and how do you plan to manage that getting into the Olympics?
I think it's very tough to peak in our sport, and I think we keep discussing about the same fact, saying that it's kind of tough to know that when we can peak, but I think it's important to make sure that you are training on a very regular basis, more than the tournament and the results. I think it's important to understand that the training process is which is going to make it to the Olympics. And I think we'll have probably 20 or 25 odd tournaments for the whole year. But I think it's important to see which tournaments you are actually trying to score maximum number of points and kind of focus on that, and then try to cut down or say try to load on a particular tournament, so that you think that this tournament is not going to be so important, you just try to load on that particular tournament. So this is how we are trying to do. But unfortunately, the peaking point is very tough. Probably for an Olympics we can do. Post the qualification ends, we'll have a good 2-3 months to do a periodic transition for that, but until then I think it's just going to be focus training. Yeah.
As Prannoy said, we played last week, we're leaving tomorrow, and we have Asian Games, and before that we have 2 more tournaments. So and after Asian Games we've got 3 more tournaments. So basically there's hardly any time. But as far as the peaking is concerned, we've been fantastic in peaking. In the last, every big event we've peaked. So I don't think we as a team will have a problem with that. I think to getting there, get that good window of rest and training, I think we'll surely peak. I think I'm very confident about that.
And as you said, the number of tournaments we were also discussing about, especially for a sports like badminton where you're playing in China and other places, the travel is insane. I mean, you were saying that you guys are going for the China Open from here to Delhi, from Delhi to Singapore, and then Singapore to China. I mean, how do you guys handle that? I mean, it seems impossible for a normal, ordinary human to, they'll take probably a couple of days to recover and start work, and you guys are landing there and start playing and winning tournaments. I mean, how do you handle that?
I think it's part and parcel of the game, and the one thing which you'll have to be very cautious about is how well you're eating and how well you're sleeping in this particular period, because that's the only thing which is under your control, and a lot of other things are not under your control. So we're trying our maximum to be fresh, but I think sometimes you'll have to play with 60%, 70% and still grind that win, especially in the first initial round. So I think that's what I have learned in the last few years, saying that you cannot be always 100% to win the matches. If you have to grind those matches and win, even though you're 60 or 70% fit.
I mean, you were talking about food. I mean, you also have a very interesting food habit where no mushrooms, no milk. I mean, can you tell the audience about your dietary regime? It's very, very strict, I hear.
Not really now, but I think back in 2018 when I was diagnosed with GERD and had extreme acid reflux, so then I had to get rid of a lot of food, which was mushrooms, milk, and all those things which I used to love, bacon and all these things. So it took almost 1.5 to 2 years to actually get back to the same old routine. But now still I try to be in a healthy eating habit, so that because we are on the tour for maximum number of days, and it's important to really be healthy, and because otherwise towards the end of the year it's just going to be really tough for the body. So yeah.
Are there any cheat days?
Yes. I think after tournament there is a cheat day, and yeah, I think it's definitely needed. 1 or 2 days, I would say.
Your wife probably should know what is his cheat meal. What does he eat? What does he like to eat the most? Do you have a cheat meal? I mean, which
I love burgers. I love burgers and ice cream. So I think we had a lot of ice creams the other week. So in Denmark. So
we were celebrating his quarter-final win, and before the semi-final. So all of us are actually sitting and eating ice cream, and since we didn't get a chance, and like 5 of us, and Prannoy is like, "You shameless guys! At least don't eat in front of me."
Did you have at least one spoon of ice cream after the semi-final?
Yeah, we had good 2 days in Copenhagen. So then we had good, not just 1, 2. We had good 2 full ice creams in the next 2 days. Yeah.
I think, is there any question from the audience? We can probably take a few questions. Can we take a few questions, Gopi? Maybe 1 or 2. 2 questions, if anyone has. Yeah, the mic to the gentleman there.
Hi. This is regarding the physical literacy days. So I was part of it, and we had some great time in promoting the sports at that point of time. So I just wanted to know from you if any chance the physical literacy days would be starting again, and there is any chance we can make it a bigger event where more and more children and more community is coming and building up. I know it is off the badminton question, but yeah, this is my curiosity because I was part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. I really am happy that you enjoyed it. In fact, 2 days back, I was there with Jayesh Ranjan, and he was mentioning about how physical literacy needs to come back, and we need to have those days again. I'm sure, I think post Asian Games, once I have a small window, I'll work on it and try and see how best we can start it off again. Yeah. And I'm very happy that you liked it. Thank you.
One more question and we'll wrap it. Yeah.
I run the Yacht Club of Hyderabad. My name is Suheem Sheikh, and I've dealt with about 1,000 athletes so far. I just wanted to share an opinion that, and I want to verify whether this is my feeling is true, and that the single most, you have hard work, you have talent, you have practice, you have money, whatever you have, but the single most attribute of a good athlete who makes it to the world stage is grit. Do you concur with this opinion?
I think it's important. The other things are also important. I think I would be honest to say that I've seen a lot of hardworking people with a lot of grit not make it. I have to say that, because you don't want the wrong notion to come up that everybody who's won and a champion is the most hardworking people of the globe. We've been lucky. We've been gifted by God. We are in a place where there's so much of God's grace that we are here. But I also have seen a lot of people with a lot of hard work and grit fail. So people who have failed in sport, and the only reason I'm saying it, people who have failed in sport to reach a certain level should not be seen by society and us, as in coaches, parents, as failures because of lack of grit. And that's why I want to make this point up. So I think a lot of things are important, and grit is one of them. But to actually think of it, 99% of sports persons fail. And out of the 1,000 who actually take up sport, maybe 5 people are making it. The rest all don't make it. And all of them are looked at as failures. Whereas you go to an engineering college or a medical college, they're like, all of them are looked at as successes. And here, if you lost in the quarterfinals, you're like, you lost in the quarterfinals. Boss, this is top 8 in the world. If you seriously put it in perspective, how many doctors would call themselves top 8 in the world? How many lawyers would say that? How many bureaucrats would say that, or politicians would say that? We have been insanely critical about sport. I think to be in the top 100, 200, 300 of the world in any profession, to be the best 150, 200 in the world, you need to be celebrated. And I think we need to celebrate ourselves a lot more. I think we've just been too critical and failure. Boss, this is serious stuff. And you're talking about that cream layer. I think the only thing is, as Suheem said, I think he runs a great program, and I'm aware of that. I would say grit is important and very important, but I think people who have failed are not necessarily the ones who have not been gritty. Thank you.
Thank you, Gopi. So we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much, both Gopi and Prannoy, to be here. We wish you the best for the rest of the year, to the Asian Games and the other championships which are coming. All the best. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Gopi sir and Prannoy, for an illuminating session on the value of perseverance in sports. The talents nurtured by you, Gopi sir, and your redemption arc, Prannoy, have endeared many to the sheer drama and marvel of sports over the years. I request Mr. Sen Gupta to present our guest speakers with a token of our appreciation and gratitude.